Hi, I'm Dr. Bree Gorman. I'm a diversity and inclusion consultant. So I work with organisations to increase the diversity of their workforces, but also to create environments where they can thrive, where everybody can thrive. I want to talk to you today about my inclusive leadership course. I am so passionate about this. I've built it from scratch. And the reason I've built it is because I really want to empower individuals within workplaces to create inclusion, to demonstrate inclusion, and to be able to drive change where perhaps they have felt unable to or not empowered enough to. Yes, the leadership is really important when it comes to driving diversity and inclusion, and we need the leadership on board. But unfortunately, all of that falls down unless our managers and our employees really understand the value of inclusion and can themselves identify barriers that exist in the workplace, poor behaviour, discrimination, biases that are at play. If you can get your whole organisation to be identifying these things, to be calling things out, then you can really create inclusion. And we know inclusion is good for business. We know that diverse workforces that are in inclusive environments have higher productivity, higher levels of innovation, and increased job satisfaction and motivation. All really necessary things for any business, and of course, particularly in a time of a pandemic. The stats are pretty clear. It's still the case that only 17% of CEOs in Australia are women. We look at some other statistics and we see that 95% of CEOs in Australia are of Anglo-Celtic or European background. They're pretty bad statistics considering the makeup of our society and considering what we know about the benefits of diversity. So how does my course help this? The course looks at your own privilege, forces people to look at their own privilege and their biases and unpick what it means to have privilege and therefore what responsibility we have to make things better, to reduce barriers and increase opportunities for those who didn't have the privilege that we have. It also looks at how we can identify barriers and biases in systems, in policies, in programs, projects, activities that we do at work. Because if you can have everybody looking for and identifying those things, then you can really start to create change and build momentum around inclusion. We also look specifically about allyship and advocacy. Now, I don't mean advocacy in the sense of burning bras and protesting in the streets. That's not for everyone. But I mean advocacy in being able to speak up in a situation where you can see that something is unfair, or being able to amplify the voice of someone who is from an underrepresented groups. I want to give you the skills and techniques to do that in a way that's not confrontational, that doesn't cause big arguments or impact your career success, but that actually provides opportunities for others and is a positive thing all round. This is our responsibility as those of us who carry privilege to really try and create more opportunities and give more voice to those who don't. So what if, for me, imagine a world, right, where you're in your organisation, you hear somebody say, "We only employ the best person for the job," even though you know that the leadership is stacked with a certain type of person. And in that situation, you know the right things to say. You know the way to kind of motivate that person to think differently about that particular situation and about diversity in the workforce, and to open their eyes to the biases that they're displaying in the workplace. Imagine a situation where the admin assistant notices that a customer has been incredibly excluded by a particular policy of the organisation, and they have the wherewithal and the influence to actually speak up about that and seek change, create change. That's what I want to see. I want to see inclusion interwoven throughout an organisation, and not just a plan that sits with the diversity and inclusion manager or with the executive and the CEOs. So what can you do? You can jump onto my website www.breeGorman.com.au/e-learning, and you will find the Inclusive Leadership course. The next cohort starts on the 3rd of August, and I would love you to join us. Thank you for listening. Thank you for supporting inclusion and diversity in your workplaces and in your homes, and I will see you soon.